Even if you love the place, there's a whole lot you probably don't know about Applebees. They've managed to find tremendous success in recent years, but they've also faced their fair share of hardships and scandals. Grab your riblets and apple margarita, because this is the untold truth of Applebees. Tender barbecued riblets? Delicious. Bourbon Street chicken and shrimp? Count us in. Plastic-coated broccoli and expired mashed potatoes? We'll pass, thanks. In 2012, a reporter went undercover to find out what Applebee's really puts in its food, and the findings aren't exactly appetizing. Tracy McMillan is the author of The American Way of Eating, Undercover at Walmart, Applebee's, Farm Fields, and the Dinner Table. She claims she received no formal food safety training when she started working at Applebee's, and neither did her fellow employees. For example, an employee reportedly told her to heat up a tray of mashed potatoes that was 2 days past its expiration date, expressly to serve the slop to customers. When McMillan brought up her concerns, she was reportedly told, "You're going to see a lot of things here." And then there were the side dishes. They reportedly came pre-proportioned in small containers, which were later mixed with a sauce, placed in a plastic bag, and microwaved. After being exposed to the heat, the broccoli would reportedly be served covered in flakes of plastic from the bag. If you want to avoid any of these potentially sketchy dishes, McMillan recommends selecting items off the grill so that you can tell if they've been properly prepared. She told the Fiscal Times, "Burgers, steaks, and fish are industrial meat and are defrosted and cooked." Oh, and she also recommends the French fries, so maybe you should listen to her and play it safe.
We're talking burger.
Fries.
Pepsi.
These days, Applebee's is known for its pub grub, but back in the day, their menu was a bit more diverse. In 1981, one newspaper reviewed Applebee's and noted that the restaurant offered menu items ranging from munchies to steak and quail. Applebee's also apparently sold quiche, which was exceptionally trendy in the 80s. Here's another fun fact. One of the restaurant's top sellers used to be gumbo, so there. Applebee's strives to be a neighborhood restaurant, and chances are there's a location near you right this very minute.
Really? Fist bump.
In fact, there are now nearly 2,000 Applebee's locations across the country and worldwide. The restaurant started out humbly in the 1980s, growing at a slow and steady crawl to 100 restaurants by the end of the decade. By 1994, they had ballooned to 500 restaurants, and by 1998, they had doubled that number to 1,000. As of 2018, the chain had 1,693 restaurants operating in the United States, including 69 company-owned locations and 1,624 franchises. And there are now 144 locations operating internationally. If you're abroad and craving some riblets, just know that you can find Applebee's in Brazil, Greece, China, and several other countries. Oh, and Applebee's might be an option if you're looking for a new job. They currently employ almost 28,000 people worldwide. Applebee's is open late, and their late-night happy hour is quite the draw. But in some cities in Florida, there's an even more exciting reason to head to your neighborhood bar and grill. Club Applebee's, or Club Bees for short.
This is a pretty good vibe, I'm not gonna lie.
Who would ever lie about this vibe? In the early 2010s, some Applebee's locations in Florida and across the South began turning into Club Applebee's after 10 p.m., with throbbing music, ecstatic dancing, and cocktails flowing until 2 a.m.
Place is dead.
Okay, well, the guy at the company night in said it doesn't really kick in till about 9:30, so...
At one time, about 100 Applebee's restaurants across the South turned into Club Applebee's at night, though it now looks like most Club Applebee's locations are in Florida. These locations host the usual dance nights, but also plenty of theme nights like Girls' Night Out.
Excuse me, do you know how much a polar bear weighs?
No, how much?
Enough to break the ice. Hi, Fred Searing, how are you?
Club Applebee's isn't officially organized by corporate, and it seems to be something that individual franchisees can decide to host at their locations. If you live in Florida, you should probably grab your glow sticks and start looking for a Club Bees near you. In 2013, the company that owns Applebee's and IHOP announced that it would no longer source pork from farmers that use gestation crates for any of their 3,500-plus restaurants. They pledged that by 2020, the company would cease using gestation crate pork entirely, saying that, "We only want to use ingredients that are produced and sourced as responsibly and sustainably as possible." The company started making moves to use more cage-free eggs in 2008, but it wasn't until 2016 that they announced both Applebee's and IHOP would go 100% cage-free by 2025. DineEquity's Vice President of Communications and Public Affairs, Patrick Leno, told the website Just Means, "As part of our ongoing commitment to animal welfare, we determined that it was time to expand our commitment to cage-free, primarily because of consumer expectations. The reason for the switch taking so long? Farmers need time to catch up with the new demand for cage-free eggs, so they can modify their farms and move away from the use of battery cages, which have been banned in the European Union since 2013. Applebee's isn't the only chain restaurant that's gone cage-free in recent years. They're joining businesses like Taco Bell, Sonic Drive-In, and Denny's in changing how they source their eggs. 2017 was generally a rough year for Applebee's. The chain closed 99 locations that year alone, and they also planned closures of 60 to 80 restaurants in 2018. Part of the problem, according to the brand president, was that they were having a hard time attracting millennial customers. Luckily, their fortunes turned around in September 2017. Applebee's parent company got a new CEO named Steve Joyce, and a month later, the chain introduced a $1 margarita called the Dollarita. It may seem gimmicky, but it turns out that the Dollarita was behind the restaurant's turnaround in 2018. Sales were up 5.5%, and the company was so inspired by the success of the Dollarita, they started offering other limited-time beverages between $1 and $3 every month.
It comes available in 4 flavors: pineapple, passion fruit, cherry, and lime.
After the drink's introduction, Applebee's saw growth for 4 quarters in a row. In fact, Joyce told Business Insider that Dollarita turned everything around. It was a 13-point swing between September and October in Applebee's performance. Initially, some franchise-operated restaurants weren't so keen on adding the dollar drink to their menu, afraid that people would come in for cheap drinks and not order any food. But according to Joyce, 98% of the people who came in and ordered those ordered food. Yep, people came for the dollar cocktails, ordered some food to go with it, and sales soared at Applebee's for the first time in years. Employee turnover is a big problem in the restaurant industry. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says that restaurants saw an 81.9% turnover rate for 2015 to 2017, meaning that each year, 81.9% of the workforce wound up being replaced by new employees. Other experts in the restaurant biz say that number is even higher, maybe by as much as 150%. Applebee's isn't at all immune to these issues, as it turns out. In 2000, they experienced an employee turnover rate of 146%. However, over the years, they've tried to reduce turnover and increase employee retention using a number of different methods. Something is obviously working. By 2004, they had reduced their turnover to 84%. These days, the company uses gamification to improve employee retention, letting staff earn points and prizes for jobs well done. And it seems like their efforts to create a welcoming workplace are working. In fact, the company has won several awards for its employment practices, including the nation's Restaurant News Excellence and Retention Award. If you've ever fallen in love with a particular menu item at your favorite restaurant, chances are you've tried to find a way to make the dish at home. Unfortunately, if you want to make your own version of, say, Applebee's spinach and artichoke dip, you're basically on your own. The chain is notorious for keeping its recipes ultra top secret. In fact, any Applebee's recipe you find online is likely a fake, or at least a vain attempt whipped up by some desperate Applebee's fan. As far as we can tell, the closest the restaurant ever got to officially revealing one of their recipes was back in 1997. That's when an Applebee's manager in South Hill, Washington, shared how they make their Asian chicken salad, minus the recipe for the salad dressing. That's a pretty big minus, considering that most people think that's what makes the dish so delicious in the first place. It seems like Applebee's has always been part of the American landscape, but in fact, it's only been around for 40 years. The business was started by Bill and TJ Palmer in 1980, who opened their first restaurant in Atlanta, Georgia. Since then, the business has been sold quite a few times. The duo first sold their restaurant concept to W.R. Grace & Company in 1983, and in 1989, they completed an IPO and started selling shares of their stock on the market. One of the things that sets Applebee's apart from other chain restaurants is their focus on being a neighborhood restaurant. Franchise managers used to be allowed to handpick certain items on the menu in order to cater to local tastes, though every restaurant served the chain's signature dishes like riblets and fajitas.
This is one serving.
Look at that, one serving.
I love it. I think I could probably come here and share it or have leftovers for lunch the next day.
Managers were also encouraged to decorate their restaurants with some unique local flair and to get involved with local charities and fundraising events. Though several Applebee's restaurants have closed in recent years, the chain still has a strong presence, and we doubt it's going anywhere anytime soon. In other words, it's time to get this party started. Dining out and saving money doesn't always go hand in hand, but Applebee's generally keeps things reasonably priced, offering a large selection of entrees under $15 and appetizers under $11. But if you're really looking to score a bargain, you should head to your neighborhood Applebee's on weeknights after 9 p.m. or on weekends after 10 p.m. That's because they have a late-night happy hour at most locations, when you can score half-price appetizers and wildly discounted cocktails.
11 to 7 and 10 to close. We're meeting at the place everybody knows.
You might also be interested in Applebee's 2 for $20 meals. Although please note that prices may vary by location. With this deal, you can order 2 entrees and 1 appetizer for just $20. That's a pretty decent price for a two-person meal at a restaurant. So how does one go about naming a restaurant? For Bill and TJ Palmer, the brains behind Applebee's, the answer is simple. You flip through the phone book. Initially, they apparently let their fingers do the walking and landed on the name Applebee. And that's what they initially tried to name the restaurant. Sadly, Applebee had already been copyrighted just 2 weeks prior. Other names they considered included Cinnamons and Peppers, but they'd already been claimed by other restaurants. Ultimately, they settled on a slightly modified version of their original favorite, Applebee's. Applebee's has a long acquisition and sales history. They're no stranger to buying up other chains, but the biggest sale in the company's history occurred in 2007. That's when they were purchased by IHOP Corporation for $2.1 billion. Together, the two restaurants became the largest full-service restaurant company in the world. After the sale, IHOP Corporation changed its name to Dine Equity Incorporated, which is today known as Dine Brands Global Incorporated. Today, Dine Brands Global Incorporated operates more than 3,700 restaurants in 18 countries, and it oversees the franchising of both restaurant chains. The acquisition of Applebee's by IHOP is considered to be one of the biggest restaurant sales of the past 20 years. However, both chains have faced hardships in recent years. In 2017, Dine Brands Global announced that they would be closing 100 Applebee's and 20 or more IHOP locations, and noted that sales had fallen at both chains. But as we said earlier, sales at Applebee's were up 5.5% in 2018. So things are looking good for the chain. And Applebee's seems to be on its way back up.
I believe it!
I can dig it!
Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more MASH videos about fast food restaurants are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.